How you doing? Milsurp Garage with the Russian SKS. You knew I had to do it. See, the story here was, originally I went with the Yugo SKS here. I call this thing the Widener Special, but they were originally available, I think, through AIM, as where they got popularized. Then it seemed like Wideners had gotten their hands on some, and that's where I bought it from. These things were basically, after being able to do some research and find out exactly what was going on, these were basically, I forgot, let me see, I wrote it down. These are basically 5966s, which were modified, taking off the grenade launching sight and the actual grenade launching piece off the end of the barrel, which leaves them looking a little weird. So you know, SKS people didn't really like these things just because they would talk about collectability, that they're modified. They still have the selector switch here that you would use to go to you know, single fire, essentially shutting off the gas system to use the grenade launching apparatus. They still have that switch, but all the other stuff is all gone. They left this ring on the end of the barrel, and it kind of has this post down here that the bayonet just kind of clips into the ring that's on there, you see? And the sight is really just kind of like unconventional. It's not typically what the Yugos would look like, either the M59 or the 5966. It's kind of like an in-between hybrid that they made up, supposedly for the Bosnians, and they never used them. They were just in storage, and then that's how they hit the surplus market. But damn, these things were like brand new. They were cheap, and they were like brand new. Like looking inside the receiver and the barrel and just all the parts, it essentially looked like one that was just new, brand new. So, you know, I said I'm going to enter into the whole SKS scene with one of those, and then if I liked it, I would get a Russian one, which would be my ultimate goal. I just didn't want the expense right away if I would not have really liked it. But then after having that one, I had some issues with it. I posted some videos on it. Had some issues with the small piston bending and everything. But Widener's made good, and the parts that I had to use to replace it were cheap. And since then, the thing has been fine. No issues, you know. But liked it enough to actually want to get a real Russian one. Now, how I ended up with this one was a buddy of mine turned me on to an ad where the guy was selling this, a hard shell case and a whole bunch of extras for a really decent price. And I didn't really jump on it right away. I just kind of watched the posting. No one really seemed to be interested. It was just kind of like a dead post. Nobody was really, there was no activity at all on it. And I just threw an offer at the guy, chopped like $50 off what he was asking, and threw a price at him, and I couldn't believe he went for it. It was really very cheap for what he was selling. Like a day or two went by where he waited to see if he would get any other answers or activity. And I guess he got nothing because he was like, hey, it's still available if you want it. So there we go. We made the deal. And you can see a little bit more conventional with the Russian ones. There's really no issues with anything weird on the end of the barrel, or, you know, this is just the way they came. Obviously, no grenade launching ability with just these regular SKS-45s, the Russian one. Just a conventional gas block, and it has the bayonet, more conventional, the ring that just clips over the end of the barrel. And the bayonet's a little shorter. Rifle overall is a little bit shorter, just a little. The stock, the wood is a little bit thinner. But this is a 51, and it definitely has that Mosin feel to the wood and everything. And it's a refurb. I mean, you could tell from the markings, number one, that square with the line through it, and the blackened bolt and all that. But definitely, I'll tell you right now, the build quality is definitely a notch up. I mean, it's not, I'm not saying that it's like, you know, widely built better. It's like some, you know, like a big deal. If you didn't own an SKS for a little while, you know, like a Yugo one for a little while, or that one in particular, I'm saying, and then getting your hands on one of these, you definitely notice the difference. Just, even just operating the action, just, you know, just feels just a little extra feel of precision to it, and better build quality. I mean, that's all, but wanted to move into a regular one. But this guy, you know, this is nice. It's the cleaning kit and the buttstock. See, this one doesn't have that hole in the buttstock. I'd pull that thing out, but I'm sick of getting my pinky stuck in there. I'm just not really 100% sure how to use that thing. It seems like it should be simple, but it keeps catching my finger, and man, that hurts. But it came with that toolkit, this nice ammo pouch, and I don't know, a bunch of other extras, a ton of stripper clips this guy sent with it. But one of the coolest things he sent, it wasn't even in the ad, he just kind of sent it along, which was really cool of him, was this Tapco sight adjusting tool. Now this thing, what this thing does is, if you've never seen one, this is like a drift sight that uses this, this kind of like a nub that you see sticking out over there. And this thing kind of goes over the sight, and you use this wheel here to turn to push that either to the left or to the right, whichever way you need to move it. And for windage, and then for elevation, you take this piece out of here completely, and you can see on the end it has that that shape right there that fits right over the front sight, like so, to be able to do elevation adjustments to turn this. Unfortunately, it doesn't fit over the Yugo one. I can do the windage adjustments with this, but the elevation adjustments, it has a different size. It's a different size post there where it doesn't quite fit over it. But yeah, I just wanted to throw up a quick video to say I made the jump. And what's really cool is this stock, it just kind of fits my SVT and a lot of my 9130s. It's just like definitely that same look, you know, fits in the family. And nice, even the sling came with it. I mean, I didn't have to get a damn thing, which is what really was enticing, you know, that not only was it a decent price, I mean, it was just a whole package. The thing even came with a hard shell case. So, you know, how could you go wrong? There's the case right back there in the trunk of the Plymouth there. And so that's that. Haven't shot it yet, but I did take it apart and look to see if I had any issues with the small piston looking cheesy. It did have kind of like one of those cheesier looking springs for the small piston, by which I mean, see, I have a couple right here. It had a spring that looked like this, just a regular steel, but it wasn't blackened. It was just silver colored. But it had a regular spring like that instead of one of these kind of braided looking springs, which look stronger to me. But do have an extra one of these, which is cool because if I just didn't want to change anything right away. I really just, the way it came, I just cleaned it. You know, you just got to baseline everything. I don't want to start changing things before I even shoot the freaking thing, and then I don't know if it's not shooting right because of something I did. I just took it down, cleaned it, and just want to take it to the range just as it was sent to me, just to see how it shoots and how it is. Probably just leave that spring alone. I'm not going to mess with the Russians. If that's what the Russians wanted in there, I'm going to leave it in there. But it's just nice to know that if there are any issues with it looking like that spring might not be strong enough, I do have one of those braided looking ones that look much better. But like I said, I'm just going to leave it to the Russians to re-arsenal this thing and see how it shoots right out of the gate. But I definitely noticed, I did a few dry fires with it, I mean, just to feel what the trigger felt like and that it's functional. And the trigger just feels much crisper. The thing with the Yugo trigger is once I started to just get to know the trigger, then it really wasn't much of an issue. But it's kind of like goes creep, creep. There's the double creep right there, and then it makes like a ging noise. There's the ging. I heard it, and then one more creep. There it goes, and then after that, I'm right on the end, right on the edge, where a slight pressure sets it off. Now, what it is that you know, it's like a double creep, and then the ging is kind of like a feeling of like a spring kind of letting loose, like ging, a spring noise. Like you hear it when you got that cheek weld going, and you hear it right through with your ears on, especially. You hear it right in your head, that spring noise. Then you know you just got one teeny little creep to go, and then you're right there, right on the edge. So then that's the position I'd get in where I'm bearing down and I'm taking that breath, ready to shoot, and then I know that slight bit of pressure is gonna fire the round. So with all that tremendous creep and spring noises and everything, it wasn't that bad because it was consistent. You'd know that each shot you'd go through that to be right on the mark. Now how this one is a little bit different is that you just put that steady pressure on the trigger. You just put a little bit of pressure. There is no creep. There is no ging noise. It's just a really crisp break. So definitely a better trigger in here. I really wish I was confident enough to take these trigger groups apart completely and really look and see what it is about the Russian one that's better, that's maybe adapted to this one. But just from what I've learned about these SKSs and what I've seen, it's probably better not to screw with them. You know, there's a lot of people that are putting in like the spring-loaded firing pin to supposedly get, you know, eliminate these slam fire issues or whatever. But then, meanwhile, these, you know, you don't just put a spring in with the original firing pin. It's like a kit that comes with a firing pin, and those are shit, and they last like, you know, 1,000 rounds, and then they break. So it's probably better to just leave your firing pin in there. I mean, just leave it. Just keep it clean. You know, if you keep it clean and you don't put the firing pin in upside down or something stupid like that, it's you're not really going to have any issues with slam firing. Or just be aware of it and, you know, don't chamber rounds in your living room. Or, you know, if you're at the range, you know, don't do one of those things where you know, towards you is downrange, and then, you know, you load your stripper clip in, you know, standing here like this, and then, you know, and then slam your bolt home like that, pointing at the guy next to you before you, you know, aim the gun downrange. You know, keep the gun downrange, and be aware that, you know, you don't fool with it. You just definitely load it in chamber rounds when you're at the range or you're someplace where you're prepared for it to go off. It's definitely not one of these rifles you want to play with, you know. But I wouldn't go around changing parts or you know, as far as it goes with, like, you know, firing pins or screwing with the trigger groups and stuff like that, because you know, you definitely don't want to make a dangerous situation if you don't know what you're doing and you think that you're going to make the trigger break a little bit better, and then meanwhile, you know, you make it dangerous where if you drop it, it goes off. You know what I mean? And you don't want that either. So yeah, so that's the story. Russian SKS in my possession. I'll throw up a range video with it and let you guys know how it shoots. And I got a couple of more cool ones on the horizon, so don't go anywhere. Take care.